Rematch of the AFC divisional round from last year when the Bengals beat the Titans 19-16. They meet up once again this season now in Tennessee. Last year it was in Tennessee as well. But the Bengals won that game. Joe Burrow was sacked a record 9 times in that game. Hopefully, with the new offensive line that they are trying to build here in Cincinnati, we don't see Burrow on his back 9 times. But these two are matched up again here in a rematch of last year's divisional round. The Bengals are 1.5-point favorites with an over-under of 42.5 points. The Bengals are starting to, another one of those teams that are starting to click and fire on all cylinders with their offense. Joe Burrow heating up, T. Higgins heating up. The concern looms for whether or not Joe Mixon's going to play, but it seemed like that wasn't a problem without Joe Mixon. Samaje Perine stepped up for them last week. Battle, though, rematch of what happened last year. What do you expect to see in this game? I know that's kind of the consistent question I'm asking here, and it's almost very straightforward and a simple question, a layup question for me to ask. But I'm wondering what to watch for here between these two teams after what we saw last season.
Well, I think last season was last season. This season was this season. But one thing that I have my eye on is the injuries for the Tennessee Titans at key positions. Center Ben Jones has been out. He's out. Denico Autry. Listen to their defense. These are the guys that are out, starters that are out. Denico Autry, Bud Dupree, Christian Fulton, Amani Hooker, and Elijah Molden. At some point, that's going to catch up to you, especially a defense on, especially in that back end, that back 7, back 8. That's going to hurt against a team that's getting Jamar Chase back and getting healthy at the right time. So the 9 sacks that happened last year didn't stop Cincinnati from beating you. So that's obviously a concern still for Cincinnati. The offensive line's played better, but still has some things they need to work on. But for me, is Tennessee going to have enough firepower to be able to keep up with Cincinnati with all those injuries on the back end? Obviously, Jeffrey Simmons is one of the better defensive linemen in football. He's really good against the run, even better against the pass. And the style of play in which Tennessee plays, they usually keep it close the way they play. And you have Derrick Henry, who's a game changer against anybody. But I just think it's going to be too much. I just think that the Cincinnati Bengals are getting more healthy. They have a better roster. And even if Joe Mixon doesn't play, they're relatively healthy. Outside of Jamar Chase, there's not many injuries on that are on Cincinnati's roster right now. You got Dax Hill, who's been out, but again, he's a rookie. So I think I like the health and where Cincinnati's at. I feel like regardless of whether it's Joe Mixon or Samaje Perine or Travion Williams, that the run game doesn't mean as much for Cincinnati as it does for some teams. They can still get guys in there to take carries away, but ultimately it's going to result in Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. And if Jamar Chase is back this week, it could spell some trouble for Tennessee.
I know you're talking about a lot about the outside weapons and the outside part of this game. I think really this game comes down to the trenches because there's something that I've noted here. The Bengals have been without DJ Reader for 6 games this season compared to the 4 games he's played in this season. And it's drastically different in terms of the rushing yards per game that they're allowing. Without DJ Reader, 135 yards per game, rushing yards per game, as opposed to 90 when he was in the lineup. You're now matched up against Derrick Henry. I think that the trenches are going to be a huge factor in this game. And I think that's what it comes down to. And Aaron, you talk about this, and it doesn't make sense to me. And I'm gonna play the Titans fan here in this because you talk about eventually it's going to catch up to him with the injuries. Eventually it was going to catch up to him last year with the injuries, and it didn't happen until the playoffs when we realized, okay, this Tennessee Titans team, maybe they're not it. But during the regular season, I think they proved it last year when they won all those games with a banged up roster, one of the most hurt rosters in the NFL. It's coming down to what Mike Vrabel is able to preach for this team. It didn't matter how many guys they lost last year. They were still the best team in the AFC in terms for wins. They flat out won with that banged up roster. They proved, and I think they keep proving that. At what point does it become, okay, we just have to trust what Mike Vrabel is doing? Because he can't just keep saying, okay, it's going to catch up to him, because it hasn't.
Yeah, well, we can talk about last year, but last year this is not the same Tennessee Titans team. We forget one glaring weakness that Tennessee does not have this year. His name is A.J. Brown. And when you look at some of those games last year, especially towards the end of the season when they were banged up, it was A.J. Brown every week. A.J. Brown in the San Francisco game. A.J. Brown against Miami was their leading receiver. A.J. Brown against Houston had a good day. Like these games down the stretch was A.J. Brown. When A.J. Brown didn't play or was not involved, they actually struggled. When it was Nick Westbrook-Akini between Houston, New England, and Brett Swain or Jeff Swain led again that 20-0 win over Jacksonville, their offense wasn't the same. When they had A.J. Brown, it was 30-plus points a game. And that's without Derrick Henry, but Deontay Foreman was still in there running the ball. I think it's different when you have resources on the outside, like in A.J. Brown. Teams can't just say, we're going to stack the box and we're going to stop Derrick Henry. And that's the difference. We saw last week, when somebody wants to stop Derrick Henry, I'm telling you right now, any defense can stop the running game. It can. It doesn't matter how good your personnel is, if DJ Reader's in the lineup or not in the lineup. If they want to stop the running game, they can. What people fear, especially defensive coordinators, is you put resources to stop the run, and then you have guys on the outside that absolutely kill you. And those are explosive plays. They'd rather die a slow death than die by giving up 40 and 50-yard bombs each and every time. So if Cincinnati wants to stop the run, they will. I promise you that. Every team can do it. I tell you this all the time about Dallas. They say, go ahead, we'll let you run the ball. We'll let you run the ball. You're eventually going to get a holding penalty, put you behind the chains, and you're going to have to throw it. I think this is more about the outside weapons of Tennessee, and maybe they can get it from Treylon Burks. Maybe they can get something from Nick Westbrook-Akini. But I'm willing to bet that Cincinnati's saying, no, they can't. And so in that playoff game last year, Cincinnati was able to shut down Derrick Henry, and nobody else was able to step up, including A.J. Brown at that time. I look for that to happen again, and it'll probably be a tight game again. It will. It'll be a tight game. It'll be a defensive battle because that's what Tennessee wants to do. They want to play ugly. But Cincinnati's been in ugly games, and they came out on top in that game after giving up 9 sacks. I'm rolling with the Bengals here. I think the Bengals are a better football team. I think they win 23, and then Tennessee's maximum score, as always, is 17.
I'm gonna go with the opposite end. I'm going to go Titans here, 24-23 Titans. I think the rushing attack does work for Tennessee. And get this, buddy, get this, to rebuttal you, to send it back in your face. It doesn't matter. The logic does not matter when it comes to the Tennessee. It is all thrown out the window. If you can tell me the 3 best records in the NFL since last season, the 3 best records, I'll give it to you. I'll give you the win.
Since last season?
Since last season, the 3 best records in the NFL.
What do you mean 3? Like winning wins, losses? Teams with
wins, losses? Yes, wins, losses.
Oh, I'd say the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Tennessee Titans.
The Chiefs, the Titans, the Cowboys. The 3 best records in the NFL since last year. The Chiefs 20-7, the Titans 19-8, the Cowboys 19-8. The Tennessee Titans are foolproof in during the regular season. They are just, it's impossible to get through them in the regular season. Mike Vrabel coaches this team up too well.
They don't lose games?
They don't lose games. They've only lost 8. That's one more loss than the Chiefs.
They've lost 3 games this year. So they obviously lose games.
Not with Mike Vrabel as their head coach during the regular season. It just doesn't happen. Even the McGoat has some losses this season. They're only 1 loss behind the McGoat. They get the dub this week. And the McGoat loses this week. They're right there tied with the Kansas City mother effing Chiefs,
who already beat them.
That may be true, but the regular season Titans are a different breed. Give me you're going to screw me up here. I'm going to talk about this after we end this video here, but you are screwing me up here.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Titans get 6 wins.
Titans 24-23. Bing, bang, boom. I can't. Okay, we gotta talk. I gotta talk to you about this. I am like defending the Titans here, and I'm like, what is happening? I don't like this. I don't like where I'm at. In my mental state.
But this is what I told you.
And my predictions are gonna suffer because of it. They're gonna suffer because of it. and I hate you. I know what you did. You did this on purpose. This is you. This is all of your doing. This is all of what you wanted to do. This was your plan in the first place to get me behind in the standings. I get it. Let's move on.